the security at South Africa's correctional facilities has come into question as prison breaks appear to be on the rise. Just this week, 4 prisoners escaped from the Rooigrond Correctional Facility, that's in Mahikeng in the northwest. According to the Department of Correctional Services, a total of 21 inmates escaped during the 2021-22 financial year, with the majority of them, however, actually being rearrested. Let's get you a sense of what else you need to know. Bring in the department spokesperson, Singabakho Nxumalo, as well as the Judicial Inspectorate for Correctional Services spokesperson, Emerantia Cupido. Both of us joining us via our video link. It's lovely to have you both on the program. Thank you so much for your time. Emma, unconventionally, if I can begin with you, how easy is it to actually ascertain how many people in this country have escaped before we find out how many of them are rearrested and make sense of that data?
Well, for the Judicial Inspectorate for Correctional Services, it's not that easy because the figures are not reported to us via DCS. It's not part of the mandate that is stipulated in the Correctional Services Act. So it's not dependent on DCS to actually give us those figures. So from our point of view, it's not that easy for us to be able to give you any figures where that's concerned.
What would need to change in order to assist that? Because I imagine you have an interest in finding out how many people are escaping the country's prisons before you make sense of what else needs to take place after that.
Yes, of course, we certainly do have an interest, and we are hoping that in the future, DCS would be able to report those figures and those stats to us. And we are currently busy with a draft JIGS bill where we've made certain amendments where we've included the suggestion that DCS then add those statistics when they report to the Judicial Inspectorate for Correctional Services.
Singabakho, let me bring you into the discussion. The figures you have reported to us is that 21 people in the 2021-22 financial year escaped. I guess we're going to have to accept that. How many of them have been rearrested?
Very good morning, and thank you for having us. Indeed, it's correct that in the current financial year, certainly we had 21 escapes, 12 of those people rearrested. We've already included the 4 that recently escaped from Rooigrond Correctional Facility. But access to this information shouldn't really be a challenge. I was sent an inquiry 2 days ago to say, Mr. Nxumalo, can we have the figures? And I supply them, immediately. So there is nothing to hide here as department. We strongly believe, in the spirit of transparency. So whenever such information is required, we do make it available. But perhaps it's a matter of saying how to make it as part of standard reporting procedures, that when we report to the Judicial Inspectorate for Correctional Services, we also include such information.
Of course, escapes point to other systemic issues that I'm sure, Singabakho, you can help us unpack. I imagine things like overcrowding, a lax insecurity, and perhaps sometimes even inside jobs. What are you finding are the trends when it comes to those who do manage to make it out illegally?
When you look at the escapes over the years, we used to experience them a lot back in the early 90s. Then the figures have been declining, but sadly there is an impression that they are starting to increase once more. But for us, the measure is to say there shouldn't be any escape, because this is lawful custody where there ought to be sufficient security. So when there's an escape, it means that security has been breached. And when we run investigations, it's definite you will unpack the fact that there was some form of an assistance provided, in most cases, with the outside community. Hence, we always say we don't want things like mobile phones in our facilities, because they are then used for all manner of things which then assist in the breach of our security. And where we've picked up that there's been negligence, we do act against our officials. But in some cases, yes, you find that there is negligence from our officials at that particular facility where there's been an escape. But it's always a matter of saying how best to ensure that we are always ahead, because inmates will use different methods in terms of looking at the structure, how we operate, and they'll see how best can they breach it so that they can escape. Yes, we do rearrest them. For instance, this current financial year, 12 of them have already been rearrested, but we don't take any glory from that. For us, the measure is to say there shouldn't be any escape.
Yeah, they shouldn't get out to begin with. You're absolutely right. What it does also point to, Emma, is questions around how effective the rehabilitation program is within the correctional facilities themselves, right? 21 in a context of how many people are arrested is admittedly a small number, but when you think about what it takes to break out of a prison sometimes, you do get concerned about the lengths that people are able to go and the success rates at which they're able to actually get out.
Yes, I agree with you there, but I think what's important in this instance is we need to look at the reasons why they want to escape and what are the circumstances around the conditions under which they live. So rehabilitation is part of it, but there are other factors. For example, the conditions under which they live. For example, some of the complaints that we receive from them is specifically related to what the actual correctional center looks like, what the building looks like, whether they have hot water, for example, whether they are being treated in a respectful and humane manner. So those are some of the possible reasons that people possibly would want to escape. So rehabilitation is very much a small factor of what's happening in the center, and is not the only reason why we can speculate, for example, why they may want to escape.
And of course, this is us not justifying any of these escapes, and I think that needs to be quite clear.
Not at all.
What's your response?
We don't condone that.
Yeah.
We don't condone that at all.
Right.
They have been sentenced, and it's important for them as their debt to society to be able to serve out their sentence and go through the various processes. If there's an opportunity for them to go to parole, to then serve and follow the specific processes that need to be followed in order for them to be able to go to parole.
Yeah.
So we don't condone these escapes at all. We don't condone any form of criminality whatsoever.
One of the interesting aspects of these discussions that is often highlighted by the Judicial Inspectorate for Correctional Services is the discussion around the need to ensure that prisoners still have their dignity intact even though they remain inmates. What's your response, for instance, to individuals who are saying something like not having hot water is not a justifiable reason for why you shouldn't be in prison, given the reasons why you're there to begin with?
I think it's difficult for humans to forgive or to accept when they've been wrong. It's absolutely normal for everybody to feel that way. But I think what's important is that we need to understand that we are all human. And when somebody is incarcerated, their sentence is that their freedom is taken away from them. That is very important to note. They've already been sentenced. Their freedom has been removed. So that does not mean that they are not entitled to at least have hot water, to be able to take a shower. I mean, it's freezing in winter in a lot of these prisons, and it's so inhumane not to be able to at least have some hot water or have a decent meal every day. So we have to look at ourselves and our society, the society that we live in, to be able to understand that we have to give every single person, every single citizen in our country, we have to give them the dignity that they deserve, irrespective of the fact that they've been incarcerated.
And Singabakho, often when people of the public learn about an escape, the first thing that comes to mind is, what was that person arrested for to begin with? Are there trends insofar as that is concerned? Are you finding that a particular inmate is susceptible to arrest, or is this just, to escaping, or is this spread broadly across the board?
There is a reason why people are removed from society, because they are a danger to society. Hence, courts will say, no, I'm giving you a sentence of this much so that you are rehabilitated, and thereafter it can be reintegrated back into society. For the mere fact that this person decided, you know what, I don't want to stay in a correctional facility, let me make means to break out and go back there. In most cases, these people, they don't go back merely because they are running away from particular conditions that they feel that are not friendly to them. They are going back there because they want to continue with the life of crime that they were living before. Hence, then it's important that we work tirelessly in terms of, getting them back into custody so that they can continue serving sentences, because they are leaving our facilities, not being rehabilitated. Therefore, protection for society then is at risk. Hence, we're always working with SAPS and other law enforcement or agencies to get these people back. But then the issue is to say what type of people are these. In most cases, you find that it's people who've been committing a number of offenses. It's rare where you find that it's someone who's committed petty crime and this person is now out before time. No, even with this particular four from Rooigrond, one is doing life, one is doing 27 years. These are maximum offenders, which then demonstrates that they are not ready to be back in society. Hence, they have to be within our centers and then do whatever it takes to rehabilitate them. So as a department, we always look at our systems where there are faults or gaps. We adjust, fix that, and also look at the new trends which could be emerging, and also even countrywide, the modus operandi, so that our system is able to respond and be upfront. But as a department, it does hurt us when people escape from lawful custody.
Quickly, Singabakho, of course, to try and arrest the situation, excuse the pun, you'd need to deal with many things, right? You want to beef up security, perhaps renovate dilapidated infrastructure, which I imagine is contributing to how easily people can escape from your facilities. According to the information at my disposal, you need about 1.6 billion rand to pull that off in the medium term. Is that money you have?
That sounds like a lot of money, but when you look at the inmate population in this country, we have 141,514 inmates against the bed space of 110,836. We've reduced overcrowding up to 27%. We're at about 35% sometime last year. So there are means to look at how best can we reduce that population. Also looking at what is it that is allowed or permissible within the confines of the law. For instance, people who've committed petty crimes who are of no danger to society, there is no need for such people to be in correctional facilities, but we don't make that call. It's all about engaging with other agencies to say how best can we arrest this situation. Your foreign nationals who are in the country illegitimately, how do you deal with them so that you were able to have the number that you can deal with, render proper rehabilitation process so that we can even avoid some of the lapses in terms of our security. But the facilities that we have, yes, a little bit of overcrowding, but they are able to do the work that they have to. But with people continuously committing crime, unfortunately, there will be that need to say perhaps we need to build other facilities. But that is not ideal for a developing country like South Africa. We will rather take that money to build more schools, institutions of higher learning, and other infrastructure that we desperately need. But if there is still a push, unfortunately, we'll have to then increase that capacity.
Singabakho Nxumalo, who speaks for the Correctional Services Department. Also joining that discussion is Emerantia Cupido, who speaks for the Judicial Inspectorate for Correctional Services. To both our guests, thanks very much indeed for your time.